So Miss Velvet.
Yes.
I'm so happy you're here.
Thrilled to be here.
I've been a fan of yours for a very long time.
Yes.
And I'm happy to say that in the first, I don't know, maybe minute of you singing, I knew that I was in love with your voice and your energy.
Yeah.
And so I've been talking, I'm just going to go right into this. I've been talking a lot about male energy.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And we're all very female.
Yeah.
But male energy is really important right now.
Very much
because
so.
it means I can get this shit done.
Yes.
Step back.
Yeah.
This is happening.
Yes.
So I think of you as incredibly feminine, but you have a lot of male energy. And how do you are you aware of it, or is it just sort of a natural?
I very much am aware. And I think when I go into, I do a lot of meditations in the morning, and in those downloads, and before I did this project, it really comes through as I need a suit almost. It kept coming through like, I need this next evolution to feel the play on masculine versus feminine. Mm-hmm. And I think in the way I carry myself when I'm sitting with you can be feminine, mm-hmm. but on stage, when I'm in that suit, and that's what was coming through in those downloads, is there's a masculine energy. And I've also been told that the voice I have is genderless. Like it's almost that they are not hearing a feminine side to that voice. And so that's been, as much as I can own that now, Norma, that's been something that's been 10 years and the first 5 years, very hard for even some people in the music industry to digest. Because they say that's not, you look and you shouldn't sound like that.
That's why I asked the question.
Yeah.
Because to me, your voice is, and it's not really, when I say this, it's not really a match to it.
Right.
But I think of Led Zeppelin. I think of the intensity of that sound. And even that sound is male energy.
Right.
But it's in a voice also, at times you can't tell.
It's really its own enigma.
Yeah. And your voice is really so much like that. And which makes it, I think eternal. It's a voice that has its own identity, its own authenticity. And so when did you start singing? Like when was that realization?
Really when I was 10 and band, did all the nerdy things like band camp, 3 summers at Interlochen, music conservatories, classically trained. And there was a thread, that my mother and I always used to speak about. And that was, there will always be someone that can sing better. There will always be someone that's more beautiful. But it really comes down to the technique and the resilience and the work ethic.
And the determination.
Yeah. And I think it's been something that I've had my eye and the doggedness on wanting to be a singer, standing in my bathroom at 10 years old, turning down the lights and leaving one on and standing under there and saying like, this is my spotlight, Mom, sit on the toilet and like, listen to me sing. And I think that spotlight has just been that, it's my North Star, it's my beacon. It's how I can release things that are really challenging in my life. And, losing my dad at 13 years old, I think that's when this primordial scream almost started to happen. It was this unbearable, I don't even know how to process this. I'm 13, but I have something that I can sing. Yeah. And it was loud and it was uncontrollable and it was unapologetically just like, it was very primordial. Mm-hmm. And I got lucky enough to have great teachers that were, okay, let's help shape this. Let's help, kind of define this. And then through that, it started to become that thing that you said, okay, well, wait a minute, that's mine. It's identifiable. There's a little air in those high notes. There's a little rasp in that. and it doesn't have to be clean all the time.
Right. No.
Right. So it really, I think that I hold that too, Norma. I really am like, that's my voice. That's identifiable. And I've had so many moments where as focused as I am, it's been hard because what's the quick way? Just do a pop song. Just do something that's digestible, please. Like just do something that is easy, that we can understand in this landscape, right? If we were in the 70s, I'd be like, put me on Woodstock, let's go. You know, I'm in great company. Right. It's hard right now. Yeah. It feels it's breaking the ceiling a lot.
Yeah. But I do think it's time. It's the timing. Yes. I also love that you've been singing on the street. I love it.
I went busking. I'm busking for fun. So busking is like, you know, you open your guitar case and and you start like jamming and singing, and people can throw in, you know, cash.
I mean, especially your voice, like searing
through Grand Central.
I think it's brilliant. I really think it's brilliant. And I think, you know, if you just had film clips of these and put them all together, it's like, it's beautiful. It's so I thought, oh my God, I wish I knew where her next hit stop
It's so
was
funny.
Be.
So a lot of my velvets, I call them, they were like, wait, tell us which one you're going to. Like, where are you going?
You have to do that.
I think I do. I think I need to give heads up of where I'm going.
Totally. I mean, to me, that's where the people who really love the sound and want to kind of hear it and share it are going to be, you're going to fill a lot of space with people, and that would be amazing. But it's a brilliant step.
It was something where, you know, I was on tour for like 150 shows for a year and a half. I played 150 shows opening up for George Clinton. And the other day I was just like, I miss it. I was like, but you know what? No ego. I was like, I told my guitarist, should we just go busk like in Grand Central? She was like, yeah. And it was just this fun, like, no ego. Let's just let's dress up and go play.
I think you're
and it was fun.
So right to do it.
And it was fun. It was like, you know, play in front of 10,000 people. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
You know?
No, but I think that's what people want right now. They're so tired of things that are too slick and too
the wall that feels like there's that wall there.
They're separate, and being a part of it and just hearing if it's a good voice. Yeah. It's a good
as you said,
thing.
Searing through.
Yeah. Wow. But I mean, that just being in those locations.
Yeah.
I remember during COVID, I was following this German band.
Yes.
Don't ask me why, but I was following this German band.
Was it the Young Boys?
No. Okay, and they were singing in these burnt out, bombed out buildings that had been there from forever, singing in the buildings and then singing on the street and singing all over. And they were so good. Yeah. And these different environments were just great visuals too. Yeah. And I thought, this is such a good thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you were living in LA you're a New York girl.
Born and bred New Yorker.
And you were living in LA for a while, and something you had to do.
Yes. Yeah.
And now you're back in New York again.
I am. But it feels very purposeful.
Right.
You know, I think going to LA, I call it my incubation period. I had just come off of 2 world tours. I just rekindled with the love of my life. And it was the height of the pandemic.
Right.
And we looked at each other and, you know, I said, I'm going back out on tour in 2 months. And he was like, no, you're not. It's a world pandemic. I said, what do you mean? He goes, this is over a year, my love. Like, I don't think you're going back out on tour in 2 months.
Right.
And so, you know, I got very lucky. We made a decision to have a family. And that turned into 2 kids back to back. And we looked at each other and he's like, let's go to California. And it felt very much so. Like
Right.
if I was in the 70s,
Right.
that would have been my moment of like the
Exactly.
Eagles of like,
Right.
let's go to the canyons in California. Let's go redefine who Miss
Mhm.
Velvet is.
Right.
Let's go rediscover nature with my family. And I did that.
Mhm.
And you can hear that in the music, the sounds really like the Laurel Canyon sounds
Yeah.
are in there.
Yeah.
So it was purposeful and there was a bigger vision. And then it's time to come back to
Yeah.
this city.
Yeah.
And the kids are older and I feel like I'm more in my body and my mind.
Mhm.
And I think New York it can like pummel you down, but simultaneously
Yeah.
bring you up. And I think the dichotomy of that is it shakes you to your core, but it's really powerful.
And it keeps you strong because
it keeps you strong.
the survival skills you need. I mean, just walking down the street, you can't just walk down the
I know.
street. You have to get through people.
Yeah.
You have to, and just singing in Grand Central and doing things like that, it creates a different energy that people, I would say there are
Yes.
very few big cities where you can have, where that energy is required. And New
Yes.
York keeps that energy up. I think it's great for kids too, even though
It's great for
people
kids.
hesitate.
No,
I
they
think
hesitate.
raise a kid in New York
For sure.
and that kid will be able to take care of itself.
Yeah.
So, and the word determination, when I think
Yeah.
of you,
Yeah.
it's like you are focused, you have a plan, and you stick to it, and you keep the quality. You don't sell out to do something that's not you,
Which can be very hard at
Well,
times.
hello,
Yeah, I
that's-
know.
I-
And
but-
that's, you mean, you're your fucking
So,
beacon, for that.
But that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Should we talk about your wedding?
Yeah. Talking about my wedding.
So your wedding was fantastic,
Yeah.
and there was a very personal part of it. I don't know if you want to talk about it.
You open. Oh, let's
Okay.
open. We can open the door.
So one of the most moving experiences I've seen and been a part of was at your
Oh my
wedding.
God, you're gonna make me tear up. Okay.
Marty, who loves you like a daughter, and
That was a big role too.
and was very close to your father.
Of course.
Found a note that your father had written, and according to Marty, he'd been to a wedding when you were a
Yeah.
young girl,
Yeah.
when you and your sister were
Yeah.
young, but when
Yeah.
you were a young girl,
Yeah.
and he heard the father of the bride talk
Right.
about what he wanted to say at the wedding to his daughter, and he didn't want to wait. He wanted to write it for you
And thank
that
God
night,
he didn't wait.
and he wrote it, and Marty read it to
Oh.
you. I can start crying now.
I know, I can start
actually.
crying.
And it was so incredible. First of all, the note was beyond his love and wishes for you, and everything that he cared
I know.
about for you. And everybody's carefully applied makeup was totally
It's
destroyed.
like what's about to happen right now.
And so how did that you didn't even know
I
about this.
didn't even know, and thank God he did go home and write that. So even though he wasn't there, he was there in spirit, and having Marty be that conduit that, I trust that man so much. So for him to deliver that, it hit home in such a big way, because there was one line, and I'll never forget that line, is he said, my darling, and I won't say my real name,
Right.
You will weather any storm. And there are moments throughout my life, in my family, as a mother, in my career, as who I am, that I see that line. Like I see it in my mind's eye, that like how he would write and say, you will weather any storm. And so, as a boss of my own label and like you, which I so much admire, just the wherewithal and the big word determination today of just the perseverance of just like, keep going, my love,
Yeah.
and I'm kind of just like, whoa, I carry that a lot, but I've never spoken about that.
I thought about it this morning when I knew we would be together.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of, the first time I met you and, listening to your music and watching you perform. And then I thought, wow, I wonder if it'll be okay if I talk about it because it is so emotional. I'm talking about it. I don't think there's a person that attended your wedding that will forget, because it was just such an incredibly powerful thing. And for your father to somehow intuit that he would need to do that. I mean, why?
I have chills. Yeah. It's like, it's chilling because I think, and also, like you said, understanding what was, not even understanding at 13 what was happening, but understanding that there was something bigger happening.
Yeah.
And that was, okay, this is my voice that nobody can take away. And so there is something that, and I don't want to, die on that hill. I don't want to have ego in the sense of I have wonderful people around me and I have incredibly intelligent people in the industry around me. But there is something that feels very connected to that in the sense of this is who I am, and I really can't, I can't lose that part of myself. That primordial scream I found at 13 years old because my father died was something that I want to carry through. Yes, it's shifted. Yes, it's pivoted. Yes, it's been manipulated and things. But when I get on stage, there's still that invisible thread that is guiding me.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah. So when you were on tour, I mean, you had such a great believer. You hear you're touring with this man who was he
was a mentor.
A mentor, but also giving you this platform.
Absolutely.
And you, if you're a performer and you're giving another performer a platform with you, they better be good.
They better be real good.
So he believed, obviously, in your talent. What was that experience like? That's so unique.
It was wild and all encompassing in the fact where, I was playing small little joints in New York City. And then I got a call from one of the bookers saying, okay, you're going to do old school. They don't even do this anymore. You're going to do a blind audition. You're going to do your sound check at BB King's in Times Square. And if he likes you, someone from the team will come out and video your sound check, go to his trailer, show him the video. No. And if he likes you, you'll play for 15 minutes to his sold out audience. But you'll go on, he goes on at 8, you'll go on at 6, which means if you're an opener, you're going on for nobody at 6. So we play a song and we're jamming. I see the guy come out. He's videotaping. I'm like, oh, fuck. Okay, here we go. Okay, you're going to go back to George in the trailer and show him. We finish our sound check. The guy comes back that was taking the video from Parliament Funkadelic. And he's like, okay, George is going to put you on. But he's going to put you on at his time.
No.
At 8. I have chills. So now I'm going on to a sold out audience at BB King's in Times Square.
No.
And so it was like just right then and there showed who this man is. First of all, he knows he's so fucking good.
Yeah.
Right? He knows that he can put and give someone a chance. Yeah. He doesn't have anything to prove.
But also, you can't be that good that you just put anybody up there and think it's a joke.
And by the way, I'm going on to, and if you know George's audience, I'm coming out like this skinny white chick, and they're like, can she funk? Can she throw it down? So, we have a wonderful night. Just cheering. And I get a call. My manager's telling me at the time, okay, George is going out on a 45 city run. You want to go? We're like, fuck. I'm like, okay. 45 turned into 65, 65 turned into 80, 80 turned into 115, 150, 2 world tours with him.
Wow.
And even to do that in the course of a year and a half is,
that's exhausting.
It's exhausting, but it's, it's what I do.
I'm really curious. What did you sing at BB King's? What was the song?
I sang a cover called Super Bon Bon by this 90s grunge band.
I don't know.
Super Bon Bon.
Okay.
And it was like a full grungy, like, I don't even know where I pulled that from. It was so random, but it had this like really cool breakdown. And I knew it was a little bit funky, but I knew he would hear my voice. And he was very good friends with Robert Plant. He was very good friends with Robert Plant.
That's great.
And so he had told me a great quote that he had told me, and I use it to this day, is he was like, Miss Velvet's voice is the definition of rock and roll. And then he would speak to me about Robert Plant. So I take this, I take the little signs and I'm like, I will forge ahead, but he was
and that was
part.
Back to the reference of Led Zeppelin unique voice that is really incredible. I mean, I remember in London seeing Robert Plant live.
Oh, I would give it everything.
I mean, Led Zeppelin used to stay at my friend's house. Their manager was at her house all the time. Yeah, it was really incredible. And he has a very special voice, and he's
so genderless too. When I close my eyes and I listen to Robert Plant, I'm like, the way he, like you said, the feminine versus masculine, the way he lives in that is just, it's so inspiring. And that's what I hold that too. Like you said, and I think that's also why, like, even when I look back here and I look at some of the clothes that I'm wearing and the fashion, when I'm on stage, I'm really not showing even any body. And I was asking myself, back to my meditation in the morning, I was asking myself, like, why you do that? Like, people say, put on the tank top, like, let's see more skin. And I'm like, you know what? No. I feel more confident where I can move and, I headbang and I do these crazy things, but I almost want to be in my armor, like in my suit, where you're actually not even looking at any skin. You're hearing the voice, and you're not putting me in that stereotypical box.
Yeah. I think your intuition about that is so right. I feel very strongly that there's just this overdose on exposure, body exposure. Fashion. Now, coming from me, everybody is like, nobody believes that I would say anything like that because my clothes are about the body, but I do believe if you're a performer, especially a woman, it's a time where, again, this masculine energy has to be more about you and your talent. And it can't just be objectifying. And I think that we are still objectifying, allowing ourselves to be objectified. And a lot of women in music do it. And it's now, to me, it makes me uncomfortable. And who in a million years would hear me say that showing the body would make me uncomfortable, but it does. And I think there's a way to show the body
100
that, good physical strength, good physical energy, but the way the body moves and the voice and that movement and the music are so much more important, I believe, now than ever before.
Well, you saying that is giving me, the hope, because when I sit there, I do question it. I do question it. But when I'm on stage, I'm like, I can't though. I can't actually, I don't want anything falling out, first of all. And I don't want anyone, it's almost like looking for things.
Yeah.
I don't want them to be even looking for things. Yeah. I want them to see something that feels like it's one unit.
Yeah. I think, costumes are great. and the way you put yourself together and your hair.
Yeah.
And whether it's makeup, no makeup, but that it isn't sort of a formula in exposing yourself or having something really lower, because then it's a distraction from.
And maybe that's also what I'm instinctually feeling in my gut.
And for you, I think your instincts always play right. And I think you should just go with it. And it's really fantastic. So when you're singing a cappella or you're totally on your own in that song. And the range you have is so expansive. Where are you? I mean, I just think when I see that with you, you go somewhere, and I was like, where is she? Like,
where is she going?
Where is she? What's going on? Like, where are you when you're in that? Because
amazing
when people
question.
see you sing in person, this question will be relevant.
Of course, but and the second question is, you don't look how you sound. So that's always been that's always been my how's that coming out of that little
well, that's why there are two reasons why what your decision is about the way you look is important, because as it is, you don't look how you sound. And then if you complicate it,
if you complicate
with
it,
breasts out, and whatever happening, then it's going to be, this is too confusing.
It's too confusing.
It's not clear. But there is somewhere, and I'm sure it's a musical thing on how you kind of go places. But it seems like each time you sing maybe the same song, it's different.
It is. It's so funny because I sang Cry Me a River the other day, and I sang it a cappella, and I hadn't sang it in 10 years. I used to sing it at the Gramercy Park Hotel.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, just like full vibey and moody. And the other day I was like, I'm just going to put it up on the gram. I'm just going to sing. And it was exactly what you said. I got halfway through the song and I started crying at the end. And it just had such a different meaning after, even just being married one time and getting a divorce and then singing this song and now finding, the man that I, love and that I share my life with. So it's amazing to be able to go to that place, even when you are singing, is to kind of, it's a very weird thing. It's a dichotomy because it's almost like that red chakra. You're so grounded in the technique. And that's something that I always fall back on. So I know the technique is going to follow me and it's going to catch me and it's going to hold me. And then when you're super solid like that, you can go to that extraterrestrial place where then it's floating up here. So there's this pull happening at the same time of like super weighted and grounded, and the technique is there. And then you can go to that place where, okay, I, bust into tears after something like that because it just felt so raw. And I let myself go to that place. But it's kind of the same thing on stage too, knowing that in my backpack, in my pocket, I have my technique. I've got my tool bag. And then being able to know that, okay, when I go out on stage, all of that disappears.
Yeah. And
it should. And it really should. You shouldn't be like, oh, I'm going to put my mouth like that to get to that high. Right. It really should become like riding a bike. It's second nature. And then you can go to that other magic, sparkly place.
So describe who follows you and your music. Who is that person? So everybody knows the Taylor Swift girl or the Beyonce girl, like, or who these, but who's your kind of
who's my
group?
Who's my velvets? And I started calling them velvets, and it's really about, I think there are these women that are exactly in my position, right? I'm in my 30s. I'm a mom and I'm a career woman. And I see these women and it's a tribe. It's like they're writing me and they're saying, hey, okay, I see you. I see you out there, right? There's that fire inside of you. that hasn't died.
Right.
And just because, you decided to have a family or have kids, things change even physically on your body.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also something as a woman in your 30s and having 2 kids where you're like, okay, different body,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's been something too, to just, there's this core group,
Right.
and they're in the exact same moment
Uh-huh.
in their life. So even the songs I sing about and the lyrics and the stories I tell, I'm telling about things that are happening to me in real time. And then I'm just allowing Miss Velvet to make them fantastical and surreal.
Mm-hmm.
But they are at the core what is happening to my friend who's 35 and, trying to be the boss of her own business.
Right.
So it's literally happening in real time with these women.
Which is also back to that masculine energy where it's women wanting to do more.
And not letting that, there is that fire, there's the dreamer, in all of us. And even it's like, there's the dreamer.
Always.
The curious dreamer.
Yeah. And I also think the 30s are such an important decade.
Totally.
Because in your 20s, a lot happens for the first time.
Yes.
And when it happens for the first time, there's a lot of judgment calls that may not be the best.
Yeah.
And starting a career in your 20s, if it's going to last, it takes longer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it comes and it goes.
Yeah.
But if in your 30s, you take it then to your true identity, like in your 20s, you're like, who am I? What? I didn't like that. I like that.
It's very ping-pongy.
Yeah.
It's very ping-pong ball.
It's a roller coaster. And then in your 30s, you really have a different sense of self. And I think it's to me, it was the best time to really discover, okay, this is who I am. This is what I'm supposed to do. And I think that, and
in your 30s, you had that moment of, this is like, stay on the path. This is what I'm supposed to do.
Clearly.
Yeah.
I think 30, obviously, is a big transition for a lot of people. It's a Saturn return. It's all of that. And I got divorced when I was 30 and went out on my own when I was in my early 30s.
Yeah.
So that was the beginning of me. And I think you just described, this is the beginning of you, like who you are.
Yes.
And I also think having children during that transition was really an important thing to do, because I find that women, especially in my company, the women who have children are so much more organized, focused.
It's crazy.
They get things done. They make decisions.
Yes.
They don't procrastinate.
Yes.
Boom, 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 boom. This is, and they are incredibly productive.
Yeah.
So I think that,
and I was scared about that too. Like, I was worried that, okay, if I have kids, the way I was touring and what I was doing was at it was just so all encompassing. And I was worried about that.
Right.
And it's just exactly what you said, though. It's like, wait a minute. Now I feel like I have my superhero cloak on, that I'm a mother now, because it's like, I really am. I'm just, I'm executing. I'm executing and I'm delivering and I'm showing, I have to show up every day. It's like, you don't even have a choice.
No.
So you don't even have a choice. So
yeah. and I think singers who do their career and then have kids, like Beyonce and Rihanna, they're significantly different.
Yes.
They're significantly different, especially since they did everything before having kids. And so it's a different phenomena, and you wonder where their next steps are going and who that is and who they're going to be.
Yeah.
But I do think the power of women who have kids, and more than one,
Yes.
is the secret. I see.
I think so too.
And I see it. And if I want anything done, I go to
Really?
Absolutely.
I love
If
that.
you can
I
take
love
care-
that.
No, if you can take care of kids, have a career, and try to keep a family together.
The spinning plates are like,
where's the award? I
Yeah,
mean, like
yeah,
that's like
yeah.
ridiculously
It's ridiculous.
Impossible, but
Yeah.
you get stuff done.
Yeah.
And I think sharing a career with your kids is the best thing you could do for them too, right?
I mean, they see me singing. And the other day, Naomi is 4. She stood up on the windowsill and there's this curtain that opens and closes. And she said, "Mommy, I stand here, you film, curtain up, down." I'm like, okay. So I looked at Sam, my husband, I'm like, we're in show business. Like my dream. But I think that was also something on this time around with the musicians around me, that I wanted music in my house.
Yeah.
I wanted, I have an unbelievable collaborator named S.J. Jones, this South African blonde, badass woman. And I'm like, come to my house. Like, let's play in the studio downstairs. I want the girls.
Yeah.
It's not even just about me anymore. Like,
Right.
I grew up like that with my mom, being backstage and seeing these worlds, like these fantastical worlds unfold between a curtain and the audience.
Right.
And I want my kids to, like you said, I want them to be part of that and see their mom, doing it. And they do.
I'm sure.
You know.
So Sam is amazing.
Amazing
He
man.
is a very special guy.
Yeah.
And I think, you can talk about your relationship together, and it's very unique. I mean, how many guys have a woman who's a singer, tours, has a band, is doing all of these things, and is a partner with children.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's not, this is a creative guy,
Very creative.
successful.
Very successful.
And so in his own right, guys like that usually want someone who will be arm candy for them. And you turned out to be, well, he knew what he was getting into.
He knew what he was getting into. And we definitely have a big, this could be a whole separate, podcast, but we definitely have a big love story. And that was, me meeting him when I was very young and having him, he was my first love.
That's crazy.
So he was my first love.
That is crazy.
And we had a 3.5-year relationship.
Wow.
And then at 21, so you can see that 21, he's like, I need to break up with you. You need to go be who you are. I can't, he had just made his first money, like rock star in New York. And he was like, I can't take you into this life. You need to go be who you are and find who you are. So that was like, okay, let me go spread my wings and fly. 10 years pass and I get married. He gets married.
10 years.
10 years. He gets divorced. I get divorced. And I'm on this tour and I'm like, I'm going to write my man. I'm going to write my first love after 10 years.
Oh, so it was you.
It was me.
I love it.
I love it. So I go to him and I write him and I'm like, are you in New York? He goes, I'm sitting at the Mercer Hotel. I go, I'm in the city. He goes, come by, let's have tea. We talk for 6 hours. Just
oh
like
my
this,
God.
after 10 years.
Oh my God.
And I'm just like, this is my person.
Mm-hmm.
This is my first love. And so, 6 hours and then the next night a dinner. And that dinner is, and if you know my husband, Sam, he's very, I need a plan and it's got to be methodical and I need to know where this is going. So I'm like, really? We just spoke for 5 hours after 10 years. Like, you need to know where this is going. But he did. He was like, I really want children and you're exactly the woman I thought you would be. Like, and I'm
That's
sitting there and I'm like, okay. And I knew. And now it's been we've been together 5 years and we have 2 kids.
Wow.
But I think
I can't believe so much time.
I mean, so much time.
Oh my God.
But I think the biggest thing that I even knew, even reaching out to him, was I want this career. And when we sat at that dinner and he's like, I want to have children with you. For the first time in my life, because it wasn't happening with my previous husband, right. I think there was something I was like, wait, he's like my best friend and he's like a kid. I was like, I'm looking for that man that is going to hold that space and hold the space for me. Yeah. That's also enough accomplished in his life where he can step back and he can be like, do your thing, my love.
Yeah.
And so it felt very that we are in sync and we understand what we want, what I want, what he wants. Mm. And like, you have with Marty, there's the dance, when you are in that flow, it's like, I actually feel like I can dream bigger.
Yeah.
I'm so like stable and confident in my partner and what he's going to hold up and what I'm going to hold up to the table that I'm like, wait a minute, I'm dreaming even bigger.
Yeah. No, it's interesting.
Which is not what I thought, is not what you usually think in your 20s.
And, it's a unique guy, first of all. And the fact that he has been successful and is successful and has his own
thing.
Energy and his own thing going on. He, but it unless it's somebody like that, like Marty, it's very difficult. And I think it's a challenge for women who have a dream, who have responsibilities,
for sure,
and expect a relationship. But if the man isn't in that place, they can be resentful. And I think that there are so many women that can tell you, and I know in my experience, that they do things like they'll cheat on you to get back at you.
Just to get the attention of like, where are you?
No, but also it's because they're feeling your power too much and they want to bring you down too. And there are a number of women worldwide will tell you this story. And I experienced it too, where this person that wasn't really even a quality person is trying to find power and putting you in your place instead of feeling okay about it. Yeah. So having someone, and it doesn't even matter the success part of it, if the success is within them, that they are accomplishing something they love to do.
Because I think it can also be very tricky, and Sam and I have actually spoken about this, where, as successful as he is and he loves what he does, he's seen me do something that since I was 10, I've loved this thing.
Right.
I love this.
Yeah. Well,
and
that's
so
unique.
It's very, it is unique. From 10 to be like, this is what I'm doing, standing under the, bathroom spotlight. Yeah. So and him and I, and we've spoken about it, and it is challenging at times because I think he and I said this, in your 30s, like you said, you have to put some time, the career, it's really happening now.
Yeah.
And it's a lot. And so there are moments where I'm like, I am choosing, okay, I'm going to catapult this right now.
Yeah.
And then when I'm, with my family, okay, my phone is away. I'm 100% all in with my family. And these are conscious decisions because I was just gone for 2 weeks, in my bubble in the studio. And we have that rapport, but it's tricky. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's tricky.
No, it is. It is.
It's
really, you have to feel it and feel what's happening. Am I spending enough time in doing it? And it's very difficult, but I think there are a lot of men who are not used to the masculine energy in women, and they don't know how to do it. And if they're not,
do you consider that masculine energy part of when a woman kind of is stepping into her power, in the sense of like, I'm going to run my own business, or I'm going to do this, this, and this. Is that what you're kind of embodying?
Well, there's a part, there's totally a part of that. So, so many women still say they can they can handle it, they own it,
Yeah.
but they still feel weak in certain areas. And more now that's disappearing.
Okay.
Where I see more and more women, especially in their 20s and 30s, who are saying, I got this.
Yeah, I got this.
I got this.
Yeah.
And if I fail, that's part of it.
Yeah.
Because failing is so important.
It's so important.
And so something will be really good. You'll fail. You get out of that, and then it goes to good again.
Catapults you into the next.
And so that masculine energy is really, really important right now, especially in the generations that exist at this time.
Yeah.
They're realizing this is what I am as a woman. I'm not a victim. I'm not dependent.
Yeah.
I can do these things.
Right.
And so I'm a big believer in masculine energy, and not from a gender perspective.
Right.
It's just the kind of energy. And feminine energy is beautiful too. If I were talking to men, it may be feminine energy might be good, and maybe not. No, not for me.
Yeah.
You keep your feminine energy. I'm like, I'm not going there.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's fine too.
Yeah.
But women naturally have nurturing feminine energy.
Yeah.
And so to have masculine energy is really such a great asset, and that it's happening so naturally now, I find very exciting. And it's not just clothes and that, but it's sort of, there's a reflection of it, I think, permeating the universe, permeating the abilities of women.
Yes.
So, and
I think that's also, like you said, is like the timing of this and the Miss Velvet aura and energy is that.
Yeah.
It's like it's finally getting to that culmination.
That's your girl. That's your
that's my girl. That's
music.
My girl.
And I'm sure there are a lot of guys.
For sure. I definitely have the older guys, the older generation that are obsessed with Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
So I have that.
And I think, I'm sure, I'm positive. Plus, looking at you, just being on tour with a guy who recognizes this blonde thing is going to definitely blow everybody's mind. And it does. I think men definitely sit back and say, what the hell?
Yeah, they do. That? They definitely. And it's been interesting because I've had some men in the industry make me feel, and it was in my 20s, like you said, just uncomfortable in my own skin, just uncomfortable. And so now in my 30s, I think if we're talking about masculine, like reclaiming all of that and taking those seeds and using those seeds, but having someone like my husband who is older has definitely been something on the positive side that we share that I think that he just understands space, like allowing space.
And I think he loves,
and he's a creative, and he's a creative.
Exactly.
Thank God. He's in fashion and he's a creative. So, I mean, thank God he loves the masculine energy side of my suit vibing.
No, totally.
He's actually turned on by that, which is great. And I think he thinks that's sexy. So that, I like that. I mean, that's a nice feeling. It's not that I'm doing that to have him say, hey, you're sexy, but it is a great feeling that I can be totally covered up and he still thinks that's sexy too. It's great.
No, I agree. And so when you're managing people, which is, in any business, what you do and the business of what you do is a big job.
It is a business,
but managing people is really so much harder because they're human beings and they break up with their loved ones. They have lives that have pain, sorrow, happiness, and yet you have to keep a relationship going with everyone. And in your business, I think it's, there's a sense that it's harder because you're on the road or you're in different, there isn't a stability in a home. Yeah. So when a whole group of people, and we've heard of so many bands that go through chaos, have you thought about that, or how these relationships are
for sure
so important?
They're very important. And in going back to in my late 20s, I look at it more like I was along for the ride almost. I hired a lot of people to play their roles.
Right.
And it's not like they were coming to me and everything stopped at me. It was like I had a lot of other people managing me, telling me what to do almost. Like I was really along for the ride. Mm-hmm. I knew it was my vision, but they were the ones really, kind of moving some of the chess pieces. Mm-hmm. And it was a big learning experience. And when that band and my manager, and when we broke up, I made a pact to myself now I'm in my third, now I'm just turning 30, where I said, I'm going to get on every call. Even if I don't know the answers, I'm going to get on every call. Everything's going to stop at me. Mm-hmm. And I want my own label. And I have my own label through Sony. And it's like, I want to talk to every individual, and I don't want overlapping. I want people to play their positions, and then I want them to come to me.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like you get the nerve to be like, I'm going to get on every call and understand the whole. You have to. The whole 360. And, another big point to me was finding good people that are experts at what they do and finding great musicians that are good humans. And it's funny, a lot of my musicians now have families. And I think that's been something that's just been interesting. So they get it. Mm-hmm. They kind of get that language that you spoke about of going out on tour and then going back to that family and being like, okay, I've got to be with my kids there, but I can make a super late rehearsal work because I'm with my, just having the flexibility and the understanding of the pieces of that.
Also, the idea of being fit and healthy.
For sure.
And
that's a huge
about
part.
What you eat. It's very different from 70s where everybody was stoned all the time on something. And people used to come to the store to sell me drugs. And of course, I haven't taken any drugs. Yeah. And it was just, everybody was stoned. And
it was a way of life.
One guy came in and he had this plastic, had the metal wrapping. I don't even use it anymore. I pushed it out of my house.
What? Oh, the tin foil? The tin foil.
And he said, I have candy from Pakistan. Would you like some? And I said, wow, candy from Pakistan? That's so different. I don't even know what that is. And he opens up this thing and it was hash or something. Yeah. And I was like, oh, all right.
Oh, that kind of candy.
But so that was how widespread. Sure. Everybody, very rarely would you now. In music, it was amped up times 10. And so in the music industry now, I think more and more people are maybe using other drugs, different kinds of drugs that are more explorative and more
for sure.
transformative.
For sure.
But the drugs that sort of tune you out are not necessarily drugs of choice anymore.
And I think what's been cool is I was joking. I'm like the sober rock star.
Right.
But I think that there is, you see the people at the top of their game, like Beyonce's, and just, they can't do what they do at that level.
Right.
That you can't.
And
there's just no way. There's just no way.
Yeah.
And I think the health movement, and you know that so well, it's just like, it's so on. We are so ready. We have so much information. We want the youth. Like we want
and
that.
to be stronger and be able to tour and do things like
for
that.
sure.
And
but the exploratory drugs are very interesting.
Very interesting. Yeah. And I did a podcast with a doctor who started researching these drugs for PTSD and also for lots of other things. And obviously it's more and more used for lots of things that are really, I mean, they started in the 60s.
For sure.
Ended in the 60s for a number of reasons, and then are coming back now. But I do think in the music industry, there's a realization that the kind of drugs you take could be deathly and could really take you down.
See those old movies and like the Elvises and things like that of like the prescription pills and the tuning out. But now it's like, okay, maybe it's microdosing on mushrooms to get to the essence of, you know. So
which is a different,
interesting.
It's a different thing, but it also isn't sort of destroying the body and making, and which I think is another sign of a change in the way music can live on longer. Yeah. And integrating a family into that and doing everything. So you're really in sort of a transformational time in the music industry where
very much so
having a family and looking at music in a long-term way, which fortunately a lot of musicians have survived and are still musicians. I mean, everybody thought Keith Richards would be long gone. But I'm so glad he's not.
Me too. I love him so much.
He is everything.
I saw them recently in LA, and I was just like, these guys fucking legendary. Like they're just Mick just running that runway. I'm like, he's more fit. I mean, I know he does ballet too. Like
because it's about fitness.
It's about fitness.
And so
I see that, and I'm so inspired.
Yeah. No, it's great, and you know.
And I think that's also rock and roll too. Like when you see that, you can be like whizzing like that, and just the power of that, the authenticity, just like Mick still doing the imperfect perfection of that. Like it's just it's so badass. It's you know.
Well, I think so. What do you think about when it comes to choosing songs and the topics of the songs and writing? Yeah. What's your motivation in that area?
So for right now, specifically, I have something coming out, which is called Triptych. And it's a 14.5-minute sonic and cinematic short. And my whole theory behind that was to take something, very heavy that was happening to me. And I was very much betrayed by someone I love and trusted. And so something was happening very heavy in real time. And it was really hard to process. And some of those phone calls were to Marty, you know, and asking for advice and understanding that this was going to be a gigantic shift in my life. You know, you're breaking up with someone that you thought you knew that held a very deep part of your heart. So the betrayal was unfathomable. And I said, you know, in order to process this, and it was something now that I think about even to process the death of my father, now I look at it and I go, okay, I give this to Miss Velvet now to take what is happening in real time and to allow that to become something that is fantastical, that I can process it in real time, but it's almost an escapism, but a safe place. It's a safe escapism. And because I'm sober and because I'm consciously every day wanting to be sober, I think Miss Velvet plays an even deeper role in my life. And that is the fantastical escapism.
Yeah.
And so triptych is taking something where, you're sitting across from someone, and unfortunately it got into the courtroom, but I processed sitting in front of this person in a courtroom that I love and that betrayed me into the person becoming this black Mustang car in the desert and me riding this black horse on the desert, and we're going to face our duel. And the whole video is this form of these two people that are coming to face each other and face that moment of sitting in front of the courtroom together. Mm-hmm. So I had taken something that was this ordinary and crazy experience. And then I said, okay, how would Miss Velvet, deal with this? And I said, oh, I know how to deal with this. I'd go fight my enemy, and I'd be on my black horse galloping through the desert to go fight my enemy. And she could do it. She could face. I was so scared, Norma. I was so scared to sit in front of this person.
Right.
And so in order to do that, I said, okay, I'm allowing Miss Velvet to take this and it to become this safe place.
And so now you're getting recognition so tell us about
I submitted so because it's a cinematic short, and it's really 3 songs that are woven together with orchestral and choir interludes. Mm-hmm. And this came through a crazy download. I was sitting on these black rocks in Hawaii, like these lava rocks. Mm-hmm. And I was doing a meditation, and I was like, wait a minute, those 3 songs need to come together, and they need to tell the arc of Miss Velvet. Mm-hmm. And the choir needs to be a Greek choir that guides Miss Velvet through the journey and has her spiritual awakening of herself. So the thing is, 14 and a half minutes, and we submitted it to a bunch of film festivals, and it just won their International New York Film Festival.
That's so great.
And it just won the Diamond Globe Award. So all videos, so it's in excellence.
Fantastic.
All videos. And it's just, for me, when I first showed it to my team, they're like, this is great. How is anyone seeing this? Like, how are we even releasing this into the world? Like, how are we even going to release the audio? Like, can we release 3 singles separately? I said, yeah, we can release 3 singles separately on Spotify and iTunes. And then this needs to find its home and live in its full place somewhere. Yeah. And so I was like, wait a minute, let's do film festivals. Yeah. Let's show this in a new way. Let's show music in a new way. Mm-hmm. And so again, when you first talk about something like that, and I have my independent label, you talk about something like that, my whole team is, okay, oh my God.
New ideas.
Oh my God.
New ideas.
We don't even know how to put this out. Like
new ideas. Everybody says no first.
Yeah.
And then if you have a new idea, it takes a lot of convincing.
A lot of
people have a hard time with change.
They do.
And they're fearful. And it's frightening even to you, but when you believe in it, then you have to defend it. And you
I
have
think
to
too,
try
it's like when you said defend, it's I just had to tell this story because it hit me in such a hard way that I know anyone else that's ever been betrayed by someone you love, it's just like, it's so deep. And so this was just like a vomiting of, I have to get this out.
But the thing, the universe, that was a lesson that the universe put in front of you.
Oh, it was such a big lesson.
The universe does that because it's saying you can't stay in this path.
You can't stay comfortable. You can't even stay comfortable in that.
You can't, that path is not for you.
And I question that. And I say, like, would I have stayed? I'm like, maybe. Would that have been another 5 years?
Probably.
Like, maybe.
But it had to be so painful.
It had to be so painful to just like.
I look at people in my life who were part of the most excruciating, painful experiences. And without them, I would not have made the most important decisions in my life.
Yes.
So I have no anger about it.
No, I know.
Especially
Same.
looking at it, I'm so grateful. And one person was in AA and finally decided they wanted to come and talk to me about it for forgiveness. And I said, you did the biggest thing for me. What you did stopped me from going in a path that would have been so wrong.
I know.
So you don't need forgiveness. I am so grateful. Even though it seemed painful, I'm so grateful. And that's really the outcome of what happened with this for you.
Can I ask you, in that moment, it's hard to see out though, right?
It takes time.
It takes, I was going to say, like,
no, if you're
like
not
this,
see
this
it the
takes
next day,
time.
No, it takes time.
Because I couldn't see out.
No,
Like,
it takes time because you have to be very comfortable in your new path.
Yeah.
And you have to be seeing the results of it, like you're seeing.
Yeah.
You're seeing the results, you're seeing by your participation in every phone call, by you making the decisions, these successes are going to happen.
Yeah.
So continue to happen, and this is really great because I think this not only was a smart idea, but it gives more of an audience to see you in different venues.
Yeah.
Because I believe you could act too, and I believe you could do other things.
Yes.
Besides the path you're on now. I think it's much bigger.
I love that you're saying that because I'm starting to feel sparks of the brand even. And from a brand is just, I'm starting to see the brand have its own life.
Yeah.
Which could be very interesting.
Yeah, very exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, on a lot of levels. So, but congratulations. And
I could talk to you forever. It's so soothing. I'm just in a big Norma hug.
No, but I really,
what I have to say one thing. I told my team, I was like, Norma asked me to be on her podcast. I've made it. Okay. Because I admire you so much, and it's it feels very poignant right now because it's 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's just, you've seen the growth and you see what's about to happen. So it feels very, like the gravity around this right now feels very poignant to me.
I agree. I feel it's all about timing. And then this is a great time. And I think you're going to start seeing now that you have this masculine energy and you're in control. You will think out of the box and you'll be your best expression of you is from you.
It's from you.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Give me a hug.
Yeah.
Oh. Hey, press follow and leave a comment after you listen to the podcast. Thanks.